Hey guys, I wanted to give you guys a commentary over this speedrun for this Stockades video. Now, this run was supposed to be a trial run because I don't have any world buffs, I don't have anything special, but I did get the world record time, or at least as we know it, and that was simply because of what you'll see soon. I'm doing a different route this time. I'm not starting from the beginning. I try to traverse my way through these mobs. It's possible to do this without using an invisibility pot, but at a certain point in the west wing, at the very beginning of it, there's these two mobs that are oftentimes, unless they pat in the perfect way, too squished together, so you have to sort of just invis pot through it. And the issue with the invis pot is that it takes up the CD for swiftness pot, so I have to wait the 2 minutes. So instead of letting my buffs run dry a little bit, I just log here, and as you can see, I'm showing you some of my gear. You can pause the video if you like, if you want to check it out. Now, I don't have a enchants on my bracers. I'll probably put like 7 stam on that or something, I don't know. But you know, again, this run was not meant to be anything special, but it turned out to be pretty decent because I'm doing a couple things differently. And one of the notable things is that in the beginning, on top of using the helmet that you can see on Aluvitar right now, the electromagnetic gigaflux reactivator, it's a mouthful to say. On top of using that, I use a magic candle that you get from these guys, I believe at the Jasperlode mine in Elwyn Forest. This is some sweaty stuff, I know, but it really works for stocks. And so what I was thinking when I first thought about the idea was, you know, in the beginning of my runs, I'm just trying to pull these mobs to me from the cell rooms as quickly as possible. And so I use this helmet here to get that really far range attack on the mobs at the end of the first cell, so that I don't even have to enter the first cell. And so I do that again on a second room with a magic candle, because I was thinking to myself, like, what can I use as like a projectile on a paladin, you know, that I wouldn't otherwise have if I didn't farm for whatever I needed. And so the thing in question is the magic candle here to give me that second room without having to enter it. And now I was also thinking, you know, there's a couple other things like the target dummy or a thornling. You know, you could place those guys down, and I don't know the aggro range on those guys, but you know, that can be determined. You know, potentially I could put them in the middle of a room without having to go to the very end, and all the mobs at the end of the room will aggro to that guy and then eventually come to me. I made a bunch of mistakes in this run, a bunch, but it's just sort of, again, like I'm trying to express an experimental run to express the potential of these speedruns here. And so I'll just sort of try and walk you guys through what I'm doing. So in the beginning here, I'm just trying to fish for like a good spot. Normally I would go in the middle of this whole big circular room here, because my helmet can actually still reach the mobs at the end of this room that I'm pointing at. But I didn't do that. I just decided the mobs are too squished together, so I'll go to the end. So as you can see, I used the helmet, then I used the magic candle. And so another thing I started doing was something that was suggested from a guildie of mine, and also done on, yeah, I made a mistake here. I did this twice in the run. It's ridiculous, but okay, the new thing from my guildie was to just judge the mob before going all the way to the end, because before I would just be running to the end and consecrating, and then just, you know, or meleeing the mobs. So every time I would go to the end of each room, and so if I use judgment, then that sort of takes that away. And so another thing that I wasn't doing as much in this run, I wasn't using oil of immolation as much, and so that's something I also want to work on. I seem to just neglect oil of immolation quite a bit in general, and so I used my Skull of Impending Doom really late in this run as well. I used my speed pot, and then it took me a while, like pretty much until the end of the West Wing, to use the Skull of Impending Doom. So the whole time I didn't have my Skull Flame shield on, which was not a great thing. also at the end of this run, I didn't use my force reactive disc. So once again, a lot of room for improvement. I could have used my stopwatch, my nifty stopwatch here that I'm using now, a lot earlier. But instead I was just sort of, I took myself to use it at that moment. And then the boots are really late here as well, but it's no big deal. The one issue, again, among all the other issues that happened in this run, was that, yeah, I was stunned there. I was able to bubble out of it pretty quickly, but that was kind of an issue there. These guys, I didn't realize, I believe my consecration was on cooldown, or I don't know what I tried to do there, but I didn't pull them at the end of that room back there. So I was like, crap, man, in the middle of this, I was thinking to myself, like, how am I going to do this? And so I decided, instead of going to the corner of that room, I was sort of just making the split decision. I decided to go into this room. Then I realized that these mobs are actually just running into the room anyways to grab those mobs, so I didn't have to worry about it. Once again, at this moment, I should be using Force Reactive Disc, but I don't. But it's good I'm getting a couple procs on the Dragon Breath Chili. That's nice. I wait a little longer in this run to use my Sapper charge, purposefully, because I feel like the nice thing about it is if you wait, you know, I wait, I think, until you're like at mob health range of like 20% at the most for these mobs, then you can really get the most out of that Sapper charge, because in the case that you're sitting in the front corner of these cell rooms, they don't run out of the room. This is something I found out in my stocks guide that I created a while back. I could post that for you guys if you wanted. It's on my channel if you're curious, but anyways, I just found that out, and so they don't run out of the room. So what I can do is just eventually, when the mobs are low enough, when I feel like it's time to blow it all up, I go in the center of the room, use the Sapper charge. Doesn't hit everyone, of course. I don't know if it ever will, but that's the thing. As you know, and another thing I want to farm for is Ramstein's Lightning Bolt. It's not a thing I have. The guy that had the former world record of 254, I believe it was, he has that, and he was using that in his run. He also had world buffs like I did in my prior runs. And so, yeah, if he used this route and he was doing what he was doing, I'm sure he could really, you know, do a lot better. I'm sure I could do a lot better, you know, anyone really. There was this one guy on Grobbulus on my server as well, Valexa, I think the name is. They're really good at these runs as well, so I'd like to see some, I don't know, some competition around the board. Would be cool. And yeah, I also didn't have thorns at the end of this. It ran out before the end of the run. This is about where I cut off the video, and so we'll probably just leave it here. There's another item, I'm sure you guys are very aware, Flame Wrath. So if you know a lot about sort of Paladin AoE potential, Flame Wrath is a big item from BRD. I'd recommend to look it up. It stacks 1-for-1 with spell damage. If you get a proc off, it's amazing. It's so good. You could stack it up with your Force Reactive Disc, so I recommend it. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I showed you my spec there, so check that out if you want it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.